no. Yeah, I don't want to poop on it. I just want to like fart, you know?
Fart in its general direction. Captain's Pod, Stardate 727323.1. Welcome aboard Starship Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of Cinemasins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your captain, Ian
23,
Whittington, and with me as always,
43.
she once got stabbed in the heart by a Nausicaan. It's Ambassador Danae.
Yeah, but the Norzican didn't know that I don't have a heart. So
Yeah, it just kind of missed and like poked out of your rib cage. It was gross.
it was very extreme acupuncture.
What did you do next after he stabbed you in the heart?
Well, you know, just like after all of my acupuncture sessions, I had a great bowel movement. I drank a lot of water. Then I got drunk, and then I went to sleep.
For the audience, correlation does not equal causation, and acupuncture may vary or do absolutely nothing at all. How are you doing this week, Ambassador? We're pooped. We are pooped. We are fresh back from Sin Week, so no live show this week because we had a crazy like quiz thing. This is like the first time we haven't done a live stream for the episode.
No, it feels
ages.
so strange.
It's so weird.
It does. I don't like it. I immediately miss the way that we usually do it, but we obviously want to get the show out and the regular timing of things. So
Heck yeah.
at some point you will hear the Sin Week Captain's Pod live show episode,
Which was a quiz.
but we're gonna stay focused on obviously watching Picard, and I'm really excited about that. But I'm doing okay. I did return to a house that like my little one missed me, obviously, but I had done a lot of cleaning before I left, so that I kind of came back to a house that didn't need a lot of attention, which was nice.
That makes sense.
Except for I forgot that my house looked really nice because I moved all of the clutter into my office.
Oh no.
I kind of like open up my office door and it just kind of creaks open. I was like, oh,
somehow everything was piled up against the door.
Oh, so I have so much, but like I'm surrounded by stuff from my grandmother's house because we're as a family going through her home. She's moved into like a elderly kind of like apartment complex.
Yeah.
And so everything that's left over in her house that she's lived in for 50 some years, she's giving down to her children and her grandchildren and her great grandchildren. So it's just sort of like this, you can go in and you can go through stuff and find things that are meaningful. And so I found like all of these like pictures that are in front of me. So I'm not only just surrounded by chaos, I'm also just like distracted by the cool shit. Like, look at this picture.
Aww.
I'm the one. I'm this one. I'm this little, like, it's just me with my cousins when I was little.
I'm being shown a picture of a very tiny, probably 2-year-old Danae. That is, wait, are you in the rubber ducky or the skirt?
I was in the rubber ducky.
Okay, so probably a 4-year-old
I think I probably like
Danae?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And it's just
Rubber
adorable. Ducky. And then you want to see one more picture?
Yes. Rubber
this
ducky.
This is me as a flower girl when I was probably 6.
Oh no!
Look at my hair.
Wow, that hair is.
They gave me a perm,
Yeah,
and then
they
they did
did
like the 80s, like part of your bangs
Glasses?
go straight up, part of your bangs go down, and these curls.
Yeah, you look like every person from the 80s ever,
Yeah,
and you've got like dark like background as well.
Yeah, so I'm
That's amazing.
I'm surrounded by distractions, but I am gonna have to focus because
Yes.
if I don't see what's in Picard today, I'm going to go mad. I have seen way too near spoilers on Twitter.
Oh, what were your near spoilers?
Yeah.
Anything?
What were my near spoilers?
Yeah,
Oh, like Geordi LaForge is in this episode, right?
Yeah.
Like he has to be.
Okay, we know that. Yeah. So this week's episode.
We didn't know that.
We do now, is what I mean.
Yes.
This week's episode is called The Bounty. So last week, we kind of wrapped up. Well, the week before, we'd wrapped up everything with escaping the nebula, and now we've kind of reconvened with Starfleet, and Commander Rowe of Starfleet Security has come to speak to Picard and say, hey, are you a changeling? What's going on? What's going on? Don't trust anybody. Sacrifices herself to give them a head start, and the crew are now on the run from what we do not know. What's happening this week, Ambassador?
Ooh, I think we're going to figure out the bounty on Jack, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
It would make sense that there would be some sort of reason as to why maybe we're going to discover what his role is from someone's perspective.
I hope so. I hope we get further along with that. I do.
Ooh.
Go on.
Or maybe like Captain Vadic comes back.
again, I hope that happens as well. I hope we get more of the mystery bad guy, because we have like the Marshmallow Man or person that has like presented themselves to Vadik. And
Marshmallow Man?
Yeah, Vadik chopped off her arm, and then
That was definitely more Pizza the Hut from...
Pizza the Hut.
Do you remember that guy from Spaceballs?
Yeah, I remember.
It was so Pizza the Hut.
Yeah.
Marshmallow Man is super different.
Somebody on Twitter said they did a screenshot side by side. One of the lines that the weird pizza person says is, "You are all expendable," and then there's a screenshot of Peanut Hamper, who also says, "All are expendable." So now there's a conspiracy that this is Peanut Hamper. Could you imagine if this was Peanut Hamper?
Yes, I could imagine.
So mad. No, people would be furious.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say like there was the Pizza the Hut guy was like mentioning something about buy one pizza, get one free right now.
Yeah.
If
totally
you call
relevant.
in for
100%.
a delivery pickup, a pickup instead of delivery after 7 p.m.
Use promo code CaptainsPod5. That won't work. Okay, well, let's get into it. The bounty, I mean, clearly that's got to be to do with Jack. I would imagine. I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
We've been wrong before.
We're going to see Geordie. I'm excited about that. It looks like we're going to get to the Daystrom Institute. I'm excited about that.
Oh, okay.
Well, I imagine so. Like, that's where they're on course to at the minute, to pick up Worf and Raffi. So we will see. Well, with that and without any further ado, let's head into the holodeck to watch the episode. We'll see you all in 10 Forward. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Ambassador, what would you like from the replicator?
A little nostalgia juice. It tastes like pineapple with a little bit of like essence of basil, some berry compote, and probably ginger beer, maybe some ginger beer. I'm trying to describe an actual drink that we had during brunch a couple of days ago. It was so good, and I asked the ingredients, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it.
What? Wait, what drink was that? I don't remember this drink.
Well, that's because you didn't taste it.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Pineapple?
We'll just go with the Bloody Mary.
Yeah, I mean, the Bloody Mary was delicious. We had one of
Let's
those
just go with the
yesterday.
Bloody Mary.
You know,
just Bloody Marys everywhere.
Yeah, I want an amalgam of some seawater from the San Francisco bridge where the bounty was found, just for some extra nostalgia.
I thought you were going to say some seawater that was still somehow stuck inside of that warbird.
Yeah, the cloak shit. I mean, there's some whale juice inside that boat as well.
Yeah, that's what I want.
That's goodness. What I want. All right, well, give us the synopsis.
Oh, fuck! Okay. In this episode, if you've been waiting for the crew to assemble, boy, did you come to the right episode, but also still the party is split.
Avengers assemble nearly.
Nearly. Very nearly. In this episode, let's see. We still don't know who Jack is, so don't get too excited about that. We now know what was stolen from Daystrom Station, but don't understand why that's important either. Shenanigans happen. Things are stolen. LaForge and girls show up. More shenanigans happen, and that's it, right?
Yeah, episode done. Finished.
I mean, pretty much that's a super generic explanation because shenanigans happen could literally describe every episode so far.
Uh-huh. Yeah, man, this episode is busy. We have the Titan on the run, heading to Daystrom, dropping off the crew, or some of the crew, for an invasion to find the manifest, which will tell us what Vadik has stolen. In the meantime, Picard goes to Geordie to get some engineering help. He says no, but then says yes. And then they return with a cloaked ship and beam up Data /Lore/B4, some kind of amalgam in a new body that has the manifest and the secrets, and Riker is kidnapped. Wow. I mean, what did you think of the episode overall, and what did you think of it as somebody who must know there are a lot of references in here and a lot of callbacks?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I've been looking forward to LaForge showing up for so long. And then to watch this episode and feel bored was really difficult for me.
I'm with you.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel bad because it's not a bad episode and it's very exciting. But we knew this was going to be the heist episode. So we knew that they were going to get into, right? That we assumed. We assumed that it was going to be, okay, we're going to go to Daystrom Station. We're going to get the information that we need. And this is going to tell us, what was stolen and what the next plan is. I don't think that I expected that it was going to last the entire episode, number one. And number two, that it would lean kind of heavily on more interpersonality, like relationship building, because you have like a scene with Jack and Seven. You have a scene with Jack and Picard, a couple of scenes. You've got Worf being reintroduced to Beverly. You've got LaForge being reintroduced to the crew. So it's kind of like when you go to a reunion or something and you're in a great conversation and then they watch someone else come in and they're like, oh, I'll be right back. And they interrupt that conversation to go start a hello with someone else that they haven't seen in a long time. And then it just kind of keeps feeling a little bit disjointed.
It's kind of like speed dating for nostalgia.
Yeah. But this felt like this is an episode for the fans. Not only are we going to show all these people coming back together, but we're also going to show all the ships we can possibly think of. We're going to show all the nostalgia that we can possibly think of. Not really all of it, but a lot. There was a lot, going on. And I found myself writing fewer notes, which is totally fine. And I think that that's a positive thing because I was kind of like just into watching them. I'm familiar with these characters and I'm having a good time. I felt like the conversations that they were having made sense. Like LaForge trying to kind of wrestle with whether to help or not and his reasons for helping and his reasons for not helping. That made sense to me.
Until they stopped making sense for him.
Yeah. But then, there's also things that are just like, oh, and also Jack has a brain stuff going on. And so it's like, wait, is that why, did they just explain what's going on with him mentally?
I hope not. I don't know. That cannot be the end of it. That's got to be it. If it is, I'm so confused about what we're doing with the story for this season.
Yeah, it feels like that cannot be what it is. In your synopsis, we should definitely also just say that they turned on another machine without really thinking things through.
At least it wasn't people in control, like in command, doing it. Oh, no, you mean Data. Oh, I was thinking a cloaking device for a second. Yeah, no, they totally shouldn't have turned on Data.
I mean, there's got to be a way to just dig around in his positronic network without,
you would hope,
awakening him. And honestly, there's a part of me that's just really sad about them turning Data back on because we've said it in season 1 of Picard. I think we even said it later on that it feels like it would be a disservice to this beautiful end to this character if they ever brought him back. And they're bringing him back.
There is no way they will bring back Data. And the excuse here is going to be, it's not actually Data.
Fully,
it's a memory and it's lore and it's B4. But the second Brent Spiner becomes Data, the second he gets turned on and there's a head tilt and the winking and the captain, Brent Spiner is a fucking genius because he jumped from Data to B4 to lore, all with facial expressions. And it's incredible. However, it is exactly
sad.
what I said wouldn't happen, and it is happening.
You did.
And
you assured me it wasn't going to happen, so I'm mad at you now.
You'd be mad at me, please. He did have a beautiful ending, and
it was.
I thought having Lore and B4 in this season is great because you still get Brent Spiner, we still get evil Data / discount Data, but we can respect the ending that he's already had. Now, maybe that is it. Maybe we don't see any more Data for the rest of the season, but this is another notch where it feels like someone really didn't like season 1 and season 2, and now they're doing their own thing. And yes, they mentioned repeatedly that Picard says this is really difficult because I've watched him die twice. So they're not close to retconning it. They're acknowledging it, but it doesn't sit right with me.
But at the same time, is that something that Starfleet would do, is to keep his files despite his personal wishes to die? And I think the answer is yes. And it sucks. And maybe we're supposed to feel that feeling of being like, man, you robbed this character of such a beautifully poetic human death. And you've robbed us, the viewer, of having a very intense moment that now, if I was to rewatch that again,
Isn't the
I'd
final
be like,
moment.
it's just not the final moment, and it steals something. So that was really a bother for me. Like by the end, I was like, okay, and it kind of just shadowed the rest of it. Like I'm trying to kind of go back in my mind and pull the things that I liked and things like that. But
And maybe you're right. Maybe this is the way technology is going. That when maybe it's naive to think that once you make an Android, it's ever really gone. It won't be. That it will be uploaded. They will continue on regardless. So maybe it is a nod to that, but thematically and for the viewer. And if this is meant to be a goodbye to TNG, for example, it does feel a bit jarring that we've already had this one goodbye, and I love it. I love seeing him. There is a huge part of me that's like, this fucking rules. This is great. But it is really overshadowed by we've already said goodbye twice. You weren't happy with the first time we did it. I thought we were happy with the second time we did it. It was the best thing about season 1, but we want to have a third go at saying goodbye. Maybe we won't say goodbye. Maybe this android continues on and unifies lore, data, and B4 and does all of that and fine, lives on forever. But I know you can have both. You can have the goodbye that's already happened and this new thing. It doesn't stop what happened at the end of season 1 from happening, but it does feel emotionally jarring for me.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on. What did you love about the episode? And I'm sure you have questions and
Oh
stuff,
my
because
gosh.
there's a lot to like in this episode.
Yeah, of course I like things about this episode. But I am also heavily leaning on some things that I have questions about too, that I'm frustrated about. So give me a second to transition away from wondering why, how it's so convenient for Vadic to find Deanna of all people when she was looking for people that Picard loves. So hold on a second. Let me shift out of that one thought that just is plaguing me now.
I have an extra little summary thing, and that is that this episode is the only thing I could think of is messy, and I don't necessarily think messy in a bad way. Bottom line, I'm stumbling over this because I'm so conflicted. I loved it. This is one of the only opportunities you're going to get to go to the Starfleet Museum and see these ships remastered on screen. How can you not love this nerdgasm? Here is a buffet of exquisite food. However, you're serving me this buffet in the middle of a really, really, really important speech. And I'm not concentrating on the TED Talk and the speech and the really important developments that are happening all around me, because I'm looking at this divine steak and this lovely, lovely sushi and all of this beautifulness in front of me. It felt so disconnected from the story, but I loved it. I loved seeing the throwbacks. I love seeing Voyager. It looked beautiful. I loved the Defiant. Like, this is probably the only way we're going to see high definition 4K versions of these ships actually on screen. It's beautiful. But this episode, more than any other, it has felt like fan service, story. Pretty much separate and not intertwined and interwoven.
I think they definitely tried to find the best ways to continue with both, because as somebody who doesn't lose my mind when I see a ship on screen,
understandable that you would probably be in the majority.
I don't think so. I don't know. It was also just kind of like nicely in the middle for me, because I was able to go, oh, I think I recognize that ship, or like, oh, that's really pretty looking. And they're sort of like, they're here for a reason. They came here to be able to see if they could have a little bit of assistance. But was there another way for them to do what they did? I don't know.
I mean, they don't end up doing the thing that they went there to do. It's just lucky that there's a cloaking device there as well that they can use.
Oh, an operational one at that.
So much of that in the Sims. But I genuinely feel bad pooping on it, and I like.
Oh no, yeah, I don't want to poop on it. I just want to like fart, you know?
Fart in its general direction, because I love it. I wouldn't take it back, but I think we're at a point where it's, because you have so much in this episode. If it was just the ships, I think I would get it. But I am overwhelmed with Geordi, Moriarty, Data, ships, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Deanna, Geordi's kids,
Vadic's back.
Irumodic syndrome, and then Vadic is back, and there is so much in this episode that it's like I'm stimulated. I am overstimulated by this episode.
Yeah, this is an episode where I feel like I need to watch this one again
This
to
made me
really
wanna,
get a
like-
vibe for it. You know what? Also, it also is when Geordie LaForge's actual daughter comes onto the screen.
Yes, yeah. Mika
So
Burton.
yeah, so she's now like canonically in this world, and I've been waiting to see her.
Yes.
So we also have that dynamic
Eladra.
to consider. It was a lot. Maybe that's why my brain's having a hard time kind of finding my footing on it a little bit. I also, we've gone from this like really deeply mysterious, dark thing where something is turning Jack into someone else, and then it's almost like we're completely ignoring that this entire episode, except for just this, oh, I have nightmares and I have like
It's because of a
delusions
disease.
or whatever because I have something going on in my brain. And there is a bit of a relief to that, I'm sure, for Jack, because he knows he's not crazy. He's just got this thing that's going on. But for me, I was like, wait a second. I felt like that was much more important than, and like we said, it might become that.
I think it has to, yeah.
But there was just this episode felt like a hard downshift into just like old school TNG episode. This episode did this thing, I'm kind of realizing as I'm talking, that I do when I watch like actual TNG, where I can kind of space out and do something and still keep up with what's going on. Whereas in the other episodes, I felt like I was really concentrating on what was happening because there's a mystery to solve. But this one, I kind of got to unplug a lot of my hyper involvement. Maybe it's because I'm seeing so many familiar characters, or it's just like, yeah, of course they're going to say hi to each other and figure stuff out. But it wasn't really a lot of new information. It was the characters discovering information we already know. Like, we already know that the changelings are involved. We already know that Starfleet is compromised. Now it's just, how are you going to get to the next part of whatever your thing is? And they're still trying to figure, they're like fumbling their way through these plans, and they're being reunited. So it was like a mental coast for me. And I think that maybe my instinct is that then I'm not enjoying it as much, but I don't think that's true. I still loved a lot. So I guess to answer your question, here are some things I loved about this episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
Seeing Worf again,
He's the
makes
highlight.
me so
Isn't
happy.
Michael Dorn just the fucking best part of this show?
His dialogue was delightful. There was this line about like, how are we going to cloak? And he was like, with superior Klingon technology.
Yeah, it's like, how does the Titan have a cloaking device? And he just, bam, right in there, Klingons rule.
And there's this sort of like, he still has these quips, but then there's also this confusion with Riker, like, wait, you're a different person. Though that to me was a bit sinful because, yeah, you guys have grown up. There are going to be changes,
They have always been combative, though. Riker has always been, even though he's older, like a younger brother to Worf, and just like nipping at him and like jabbing at him. Like, I remember in First Contact, by the start of that movie, Worf has been on Deep Space Nine for a while, and he's had to use Cardassian weapons. And the first time he comes back onto the Enterprise, Riker just goes up to him and says, "You still remember how phasers work, yes?" And then just leaves before Worf can kill him. So that running through, it felt very TNG to me. I loved it.
So yeah, I really enjoyed kind of the humor there. I enjoyed seeing LaForge and his contact lenses that were kind of this sort of updated version of this character that would have had a different type of enhancement so that he could see.
Well, again, that happens in the movies. We see that shift. So it's still
on line with
consistent
that.
with the movies.
I loved his Commodore outfit.
Oh, the uniforms! My goodness,
uniform looked really cool. It almost looked like he had
like a lanyard
piece of fabric,
around his neck.
Yeah, kind of around his neck, and it was just very cleverly redone to where he stood apart. And even though it felt a little bit of a downshift in some degree, it was also nice to see him interacting with his daughter, and that they're trying to kind of mold in a little bit more. I loved the scene where his daughter stood up for herself. I thought that was a really powerful moment. Like potentially like slightly forced, but at the same time it made sense. Like, Dad, you said they're like family. This is like family. We're going up against something really big here. And I mean, I'm going to do that. And LaForge said, I wish that I would have done what my younger self would do. And I understand that conflict sometimes, as we age, there's different things to weigh, and certainly having children changes things. And I would have never had that perspective until I had my own. And that's something I was always told, is you don't really understand until you have children. Like, and I could perceive it before I had children, but then experiencing it myself, there's just certain risks I'm not willing to take anymore because I want to be around to help my little one survive this planet.
It becomes more irresponsible. And I do love that distinction that Geordie gives, which was, when I was under your command, I chose to put myself at risk for you. So whatever you say goes. But you've come to me now and my family. I didn't ask for this. I'm not under your command. And I'm either a dick for saying no, or I put my family at risk. So I get it. It is, in terms of storytelling, it's an argument we've seen before. It's something we've seen before inside of Star Trek. It's something we've seen in season 1 when Picard goes to Riker and Deanna on their planet because he doesn't know where else to go. So it did feel a little bit stale, but for me it makes sense with Geordi. The bit that didn't make sense for me was his immediate 180, but
I think it was because his child was like, this ship is now in danger because I have to go help them put this back together or the ship is in danger. And I'm not going to...
He could fix it and
he
not go with them.
He might fix it and fuck off. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he said specifically, I can't help you and protect them. And I think that at the time made sense to him. And then he realized, oh, if I just shift my frame of mind. But people are just giving up their careers. They're giving up their families. They're understanding, though, that if they believe that what Picard and Riker and Shaw and Seven and everyone on the ship is saying to be true, there is something major going on, and they're the only ones that can save the day, you know?
Geordi is saying no in spite of that, though. Like, he isn't even bringing that into the equation. He's like, yeah, the galaxy is at risk, is in danger, but it's not on me to fix it. Mm-hmm. Like, he's kind of acknowledging that. I wish that had been his motivation, to be honest. He said,
let Starfleet take care of it. And she says, I am Starfleet. And I love that.
Not wrong. Yeah. I think my biggest... This episode just gave itself so much to do because it's got to reintroduce Geordi, some family dynamics. It has Geordi against it and then Geordi on board by the end. It has such an uphill amount of thematic storytelling and character growth to do in 50 minutes.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It's a lot.
They also gave him that great scene of things I loved with Shaw, where Shaw is dumbstruck in front of him, and I loved that. That was really clever.
I loved it. That was beautiful.
I did too. He was great. It was the right amount of stuttering, and
he's great.
Yeah, I really.
Todd Stashwick is him and Michael Dorn are the MVPs of this season so far.
The other thing I liked, I think, was that the idea that the machine that holds all of the information at Daystrom Station is an AI golem. I thought that was a unique idea. I did not know what to expect. It wasn't the reveal of what was taken. It was the reveal of like what holds the information. And I thought that was clever.
Yeah. I mean, I really, really enjoyed as soon as the crow appeared, I knew that there was something data-based going on.
I did not get that.
But the first time he dreams of a crow and he's following the crow and the crow turns into his dad, for reasons. But I thought it was really, really clever that the countermeasures that he would put into place would be Moriarty, possibly the greatest villain that he's ever faced. Awesome way to bring back that character in a way that makes sense, even though I wish it was the real Moriarty. It's a little bit of a tease, but it was still beautiful, and the lines that he had were so juicy and amazing. And then the solution being the original whistling tune that Riker did. That's the tune that I wish he was talking about at the end of Nemesis when he couldn't remember the tune a couple of weeks ago. I just all of that linked all of these clues back to it being data adjacent, I really liked. That was great. That was, for me, that was the best fan service in the entire episode because really subtle and woven into the story, really organically.
The flashbacks also to the episode that I watched with you to kind of prepare for this season was also very interesting.
How perfect was that?
I really love being able to reference, and we heard the audio of the Borg attack.
Yes.
And then now we're seeing flashbacks to like a young Riker hopping around, and
The incredible thing about that scene, and I'm such a dork for this, is that the aspect ratio wasn't 4:3 or 16:9, whatever it is. The aspect ratio wasn't like, even on the remastered Blu-ray stuff, the aspect ratio is still very square because if you extend it, a lot of the time it won't fit on the TV right, or you end up seeing like a boom operator, or you see off of the set because they didn't know widescreen was going to be a thing. So to see it take up the whole screen of the TV, that's the first time I've seen TNG fill up a screen outside of movies. It was really, really fucking cool. Ugh, it's good shit.
Yeah. I overall would say that this is a great one to watch, especially just like getting the crew back together on the ship. I think it's making sense for the story, for why they're all together.
I agree with that. Yeah,
they have to find a way to do it. So I think it makes sense for them to, all be together. And yeah, I'm excited about the next episode. I'm excited to see what happens next and what momentum is going to carry this to the finale.
Yeah, I keep going backwards and forwards on the ships thing because I wouldn't take it out. I wouldn't take out like the glory of seeing all of the old ships because it's beautiful, but it's just in an episode that already has so many callbacks. I'm so distracted by it. But yeah, it is complicated. So what else have we got? We have Kirk's body has been left.
Kirk?
Yeah, Captain Kirk was in there as well.
Oh,
so as
the
they're
Daystrom
walking
Station.
around,
Yeah. And a Tribble.
The Tribble. The attack Tribble. I'm sorry, but that's pretty close to how we described it. When we described what a Tribble is.
Thank you. Let's go back and remember. I'm the one that said little suctions underneath there, didn't I?
Suction cups, attack Tribble. I lost it. I was like, is someone listening to the podcast? That's incredible.
I love the idea of it being really sweet and fluffy on the top and like terrifying underneath though. I also have to say I loved the space battles in this one. There's just more really clever uses of camera angles while the ships are flying in, and they're all kind of really close to each other. There was one moment when they're flying in, they decloak, they fly in, they're flying over the top of the station to be able to beam their friends out and then yeet the fuck out of there. And there's another couple ones that are hunting them in the background, and it just looked superb. Like it just was so nice to see them maneuvering and kind of shifting around. And I just felt like it wasn't a choppy experience. There was, was it Picard? I can't remember if it was Picard 1 or 2 or even if it was Picard. But there was a moment where they were battling space flowers.
Yeah, that's season 1, and you've got the copy and paste fleet that turns up.
And it was beautiful, but there was so much going on that it was like I couldn't really enjoy the beauty of what I was seeing because it was just like overstimulation. And this just felt clean, clear. I'm getting to see a really interesting looking space station, 2 of them in this episode. So
this feels way more like Strange New World, where we're just seeing the ships hang in the air, and it feels like old TNG where you actually see the ships fly around each other. Anything in space, the show is nailing. It looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it looks really beautiful.
The Titan, like hovering in front of the sun, looked whatever that star was, looked absolutely beautiful. I love that. Just even the opening of the episode, you've got the Titan signal buoy and just like ships dropping out of warp. Ugh, chills. Love it. I do love the continuing gag that no one likes Chateau Picard. It's like every year you send me the bottle of what is it, like
bitter juice or something?
It's like bitter mead, like over-ripened mead or something. It's like, you mean Chateau Picard? It's very tart. Love that. Where I got giddiest was when I saw the Bounty, the HMS Bounty. So when Kirk and McCoy and everybody, they rescue Spock's body, they're heading in order to rescue Spock, they end up stealing a bird of prey, and then they go on the run with it, and they rename it the HMS Bounty. And then the one with the whales, they take it back to Earth, blah, blah, blah. As soon as I saw that, I turned to Aaron and I was like, they're not going to steal the Bounty, are they? In my mind, the show just immediately took a hard right turn and they all get onto this bird of prey. But I liked the twist that they steal the cloaking device. Sinful as heck, but I got super chills when I saw the Titan with the cloaking effect. It was so great. And just cloaking devices are fucking cool. Like they're big old plot like shoehorns, but it's how often are you going to have chance to do that? I loved it. I really did.
I think it was nice to see the interior of the ship cloaking, because usually I would just see the warble from the outside.
That doesn't usually happen. That was really weird.
But here we are on the inside, and it's like warbling in and out. And I have a lot of questions about how that works, but it does. None of it should we answer today, because the answer is imagination. But the idea that the people that are inside, like everyone just becomes invisible and you can't actually see where you're walking, or what you're pressing. It's all from memory. Because it's like, if it's disappearing in front of the eyes of the people inside the ship, then how are they going to know where to go to the bathroom? Where, like everything becomes a question, but we don't have to go into that.
It's just, it was glitching. It's not how that works. It's basically a ton of mirrors. But anyway, loved seeing the Enterprise
Warbly mirrors.
The Warbly mirrors. The Voyager was remastered beautifully. That was stunning. And 7 getting all nostalgic was amazing. I will be rewatching that scene a lot. It was beautiful. Anything else before we move into some sins?
Nope.
Okay, let's go to engineering for some sins. Let's do it.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains and remind ourselves that no TV shows without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Go for it, Danae. Hit us.
I think I would probably sin something to the effect of, I don't know, I have so many questions about how they're tracking and stuff. I think we learned in this episode that all the ships are trackable now. They all talk to each other like Borg-like. They're all interconnected somehow.
Together.
They're networked together. So they're able to, like, especially once they're in proximity to each other, I think they can track each other a little easier. So I just, I don't know. It just seems like this could have been something that would have been far before now, but maybe not as much time has passed as I think has, because I'm going week to week on these shows, and it's probably only been 3 hours since the last episode.
Yeah, a matter of hours. Yeah, it really has.
So I don't think that that's sinful, but I am glad that they answered that question.
No, I think that's it. I mean, it's convenient for sure. It's also, it does make you wonder why they're only sending 2 ships, and which ships are, is Vadik in communication with all of the Starfleet ships now?
I think the idea is that a few of them have people in command that are changelings. And I'm assuming they're the ones that were at the station, because her ship runs off with Picard, and that was the same place where the other Starfleet ships were. And it's like the other Starfleet ships just seem to not be there any longer. When that wide shot where Vadik is the end of the episode flying away with Picard, in the background, there's no Starfleet. So maybe they're communicating somehow, I'm guessing.
But if they're using the networking thing as a reason for why Titan was found so quickly, why is it just Vadik's ships that are finding them? Because all of Starfleet wants Titan at the minute. They're on the run from Starfleet and Vadik. So why aren't more ships coming and descending upon them? And I wonder if it's because Starfleet is more corrupted than we think. Starfleet is more compromised than we think. But then that
possibly
that just makes me wonder. If you have Starfleet in your thumb, why do you need to do anything on Frontier Day? If you already have Starfleet, if you want to cripple the Federation, blow up all the ships. Any ship you have control of, just send them back to Earth, blow them up. And there's bits of this mystery that we're still missing that I think they're really, really crucial. Sins for me. So Jack finds out that he has aromatic syndrome, which is something we find out Picard has in the last ever episode of TNG. And it's something that when Q makes him travel through time, and nobody believes him because they assume he's just hallucinating and it's all part of the disease. So it's a big callback to the end of TNG. I don't know. I know Jack has had some bad news, but he's being a bit of a dick. And then he's suddenly not a dick anymore again. It's like, I hate you because you gave me this disease. And at the end of the episode, he's like, I love you because you gave me good wit and charm. So many people go on a big character arc in the space of an hour.
I think the sin is also that if there's this syndrome, I cannot believe, 1 ounce of me would not believe that Beverly wouldn't have tested him for that when he was an infant.
Oh,
potentially even in utero. I think she is the kind of person, she knows Picard. She knows,
She diagnosed Picard with it. I maybe it didn't present. Maybe it's something that is.
It doesn't matter.
Buried.
It's genetic testing.
Yeah.
And you know how I'm confident about that? Mm-hmm. I'm looking at memory-alpha.fandom.com.
Nice.
That's how confident I am.
Thank you, Memory Alpha.
Because I was just, thank you, Memory Alpha. I love your site. I was so confused about that, so I went and looked it up because I was like, Irmonic, or how do I say this? But it says genetic testing could determine if a person may develop the syndrome in later life, but not all persons who test positive develop the condition. So she would at least know that it was a potential for the future. I just feel like it's in her personality and in her character to have run tests, and then I think her life would have been dedicated to finding a cure. You know, that's just how I feel like I would expect Beverly to be, which is why I'm wondering if this is a red herring.
Feels like it could be, doesn't it?
It does.
It's interesting. I'm wondering if I'm missing something about it, why she didn't test for it previously or why it didn't show up. But you would think she would see it coming for sure. This is a really quick one. Where did Raffi and Worf beam in from?
I was guessing a ship or something.
Because they still have La Sirena.
I wasn't sure.
I don't know where La Sirena has gone, unless it's...
Maybe they just blew it up. I don't know. It was very confusing, but I agree with you. It's just like, we're beaming aboard from where exactly? Yeah.
The La Sirena isn't docked anywhere. They must have been hidden. I don't know. Maybe that's a deleted scene.
Who knows? Here's a quick sin, possibly one with an explanation I don't remember. How is Riker so good at just knowing notes?
Knowing notes? He's a jazz musician.
Oh, that's an F sharp major.
Yeah, he plays...
Carried over the B minus the C flat divided by 4.
I mean, not every musician can do this, but apparently Riker can. He plays trombone a lot. He plays a lot of jazz. He is an avid jazz player. So Okay. I'll give him that. But then how much of a dick is Riker for Worf? They're like, how did you know to do that? And he's like, just an old friend, somebody who dreamed of crows and couldn't whistle worth a damn. They know who Data is. They know
just
Data.
Fucking say Data.
Both these people have met Data, especially Worf. Yeah, and that was for the audience for sure. I felt the same in that moment. I have a big one. Why the fuck does everyone know what Daystrom is and that it's hiding everything? Like, I know Riker doesn't know, but it seems like everyone is aware of what Daystrom does and why it's so important. And I just feel like that needs to be a bigger secret. I know Worf is like in Starfleet intelligence and he would know, but Geordi obviously knows. And I don't know, it feels like more people know than should know that all of these really dangerous things are at Daystrom. Plus Kirk.
I would have a fun sin when Seven totally slams Picard by saying that he's good at poetic drive-by.
Yes, I loved that.
And I would do something where it's like, wait a second, that's really, really good. No. We should be the ones who do just kind of sin ourselves for having not thought of it first, because that needs to be something that has more people looking at it. That was so funny. She's just like, he's got a knack for poetic drive-by. What a great couple of words.
Which is so true, because he'll just come in, say something, and then fuck off. And it either helped or it didn't. This show is super self-aware of the TNG tropes. I kind of love it. Back on Daystrom, I'm not quite done yet. Why is there not an army constantly guarding this place? Like,
because of the AI system.
Why not both? If this place has everything that is so dangerous, plus Data/Lore/B4, why not have a few thugs in there as well? Why not 20? Why not 20 Starfleet officers that are just stationed there? One ship. Why not a phaser array? What if we use one of those weapons to actually defend the bloody place?
I mean, it looked like that was a potential and a possibility and a likelihood, and is exactly what was happening before they just like had that little hacker system thing going on.
It's the classic Ocean's 11 thing of this vault is heavily defended, so well defended that we don't actually need to defend it anymore.
I think I would. I don't want to send this part, but it kind of annoyed me when Jack and Picard are talking, and Jack is talking about these traits that he's gotten from his mother, and then he says something. He's like, he can also be brave and loyal and far wiser than any right to be, and he didn't know where those came from, and they came from Picard, and I was just like, wow.
They can come from Beverly as well. Yeah, I had the same thought.
I just kind of rolled my eyes pretty hard at that one. But it was beautifully written, and I understand what they're doing. And I understand that he's trying to find some kind of a similarity with Picard, and I understand that. And I think that that can still be something that a child would say to a parent when they're trying to make a connection, even if it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make genetic sense. He's just kind of being kind to Picard. But I was thinking that as well. I was like, so that's not how parents work. It's not literally 50-50, but I guess that's him being poetical as well. But I felt the same in the moment. I was like, so you wondered where you got courage from because it definitely wasn't your mum? Wow, that hurts. So, I mean, I missed a couple of things that I actually liked.
Me too. Should we do like a little aside?
Fuck it. You know what? This is a chaos episode because we're recording it at the 11th hour. Geordie's and LeVar's range of emotions when Data beams in is beautiful.
Wasn't it so sweet? And then whenever Data's turned on,
yes, the tearing eyes. The last time I saw that was during Star Trek Insurrection. They go to a planet that is super healing, and it heals his eyes. And for a few hours, he doesn't need implants. He sees through human eyes, and he watches a sunset, and LeVar Burton cries, and it is fucking gorgeous. Same expression during this moment, and just the range of conflicted to angry to upset to is this lore, is this Data, I don't care in the end, I just want to see my buddy. It is so good, and maybe that makes it worthwhile, because the only thing we didn't get was Geordi being able to say goodbye to Data and saying goodbye to his best friend. He was absent through all of the goodbyes. He never really had that chance.
So maybe this is for Geordi.
This may be for Geordi. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm still not sure that I like it that much, but we'll see what they do with it. One of the other scenes that I liked that I forgot to mention earlier also involves Geordi, but it was when Geordi and Picard, so Picard is like, I swear I would not have stolen from you. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
And then they both have this moment of revelation. You installed a cloaking device from a bird of prey, and they both stop, and he's like, I would never steal from you. And then they stop, they look at each other, he goes, Jack, right as LaForge goes, Sydney.
Kids, they both know that they have raised, no, Picard hasn't, but they know that they are dealing with younger versions of themselves. It's this fucking checks out, doesn't it? That's one of my other biggest sins, is that getting the fucking cloak, and I'll get roasted and pulled apart for this because it's fun, and the rule of fun.
Are we back in the sins? Are we back in the sins? Okay.
The rule of fun should work. It's fine, but they managed to steal the fucking cloaking device that's 80 years old, and they shove it into the Titan. And I know Kirk has done this before on his ship, and they've done it on the Enterprise. But man, did they do this quick, considering that Sydney is a self-proclaimed not engineer and Jack is a self-proclaimed pirate.
Yeah,
how did they get
probably
that to
shouldn't
work
have been the ones
all?
to do it.
No.
How much better would that scene have been if it was Shaw and LaForge?
Oh my goodness, I would have been all over it.
I would have loved that. And it's not that I don't want to see the next generation of people, and I feel like this is them attempting to hand the show off to these younger characters, and they super fucking get it. But yeah, okay, so maybe Jack and little LaForge go over and they steal something. There was that moment where she's like, why do you think I broke everything, Dad? I liked fixing things with you. And I know that that's actually something children do. There's really great stories of kids who'll purposefully break something so that they can spend time with their parents repairing it. And I think that's a little bit weird, but at the same time, it totally makes sense.
Aren't we all a little bit broken?
Yeah.
I get it. And it has to strong arm Geordi into, well, the ship's either going to blow up or I help now. So I'm kind of,
so he's kind of backdoored into it.
But it is just you shouldn't have turned that thing on. You could have blown up the ship. You are turning it invisible. That is not, you are pushing it out of phase.
Today's day and age, you find an old camera and you go to retrofit it, and you realize that it's all done with actual bulbs.
Yeah.
And you blow all the bulbs, so you get one insane burst, and that's it, because it's just old technology and super new technology don't just start talking to each other. But we are in the future, and there's probably things we just don't know. Plus, he did say it's just advanced technology, so maybe it's just something that has the, ability to be adaptable.
But that's not why the Federation don't have cloaking devices, because they agreed with the Klingons and the Romulans that they wouldn't make it. They wouldn't develop cloaking technology as a goodwill gesture, that if we will not go to war, but we also promise we won't develop cloaking tech.
Which is why Burton is or LaForge is do you know how much shit you've just done?
Exactly.
And
how many treaties you're violating.
For some reason, Picard's dude, I got a couple years left. This is super okay.
Add it to my tab. Whatever. It's fine. This is not the worst thing that's happened to me today. My last thing in that moment, was just the Geordi's just that thing is rigged to an alarm that will alert all of Starfleet, but not you. That thing alerts everybody other than the head of the ship, the fleet museum.
Maybe because he wasn't in his combat should have gone off.
His combat should have been beep beep beep. The cloaking device has been nicked.
Super fucking cinny.
Yeah.
I would also sin at the very beginning when Vadic, she's I want all of Picard's people, every friend, every loved one. I want to know who he buys chewing gum from. And I'm just thinking that's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
That is so many people. We're of course just thinking of the people we want to see.
Yeah, of course.
But it eventually turns into being Deanna, which is an interesting choice. Whatever. I can understand why they need to do it and still think it's sinful as shit. But I love the idea that this crew then spends the next 12 years assembling a massive dossier of everyone that Picard has ever known and loved, because that's what she asked for. She's like, I want to know everything about him. Does he go to somebody to get his asshole waxed? I want to know. Like, it's just that's a lot of fucking
Deanna.
people.
Yeah. Stop it, Deanna. That'll be fine. I mean, it'd be hilarious if they turned up at the Starfleet, the Fleet Museum with Geordie. It's like, oh, hey, he loves Geordie. We should go there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he would run to him.
Honestly, that's what I expected. But.
Yeah, them to just turn up. That kind of makes sense. She said something interesting, which was, as I don't care that you're all tired and exhausted, and every ill-formed one of you, and now ill-formed obviously is referring to the fact that they're changelings, but then I was like, ill-formed one of you. She seemed to have like some disdain for the other changelings. I was like,
I don't think they're
does this mean
changelings.
she isn't?
No, I think she's a changeling, but her crew are an alien race.
Something else. Okay.
Yeah. I think she's lording over them somehow, because if they were changelings, would they choose that way of communicating? Would they choose that body? You know, they would have a choice of what they wanted to do. So my assumption is that they just serve the changeling somehow.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
You might like another Breen, because that's who did it originally. Interesting. Anything else negative, positive, before we do a few predictions?
I do have a question, at least for what is B4?
So, in the last Star Trek movie, they pick up a positronic signal, and it takes them to a planet. And they find bits of an android, a head, an arm, a leg, a torso, and it ends up being a prototype android. So this was something that Dr. Sung built before Data and before Lore, and was called B4. But it was kind of stupid. It wasn't intelligent. They turned him on, and he's like, he has the mental age of like a 3-year-old, and is just kind of like bumbling around, and is like, I'd like to eat doorstops, and isn't his brain isn't there yet. And they decide to download all of Data's memories, experience, and everything into B4 to see if it will jumpstart him and give him some extra intelligence, and it ends up overwhelming him. And he was eventually planted there by someone else. But yeah, that's who B4 is.
Gotcha. What did you think about the Dr. Sung speech?
Oh, the Alton Soong speech. Yeah, I got it. It was cool as like an explanation for what the goal was here, that he couldn't build another golem for himself because of reasons. So instead he wants to build a legacy, essentially, that is, I mean, Data's quest was to be human, and Sung's quest was to create something as basically indistinguishable from being a human. So yeah, the goal is to create something that has the wisdom, the respectability, apparently, of an old human. That's why he has to be in an old body, because that only comes of age, apparently. And yeah, it has like the determination of Lore, but like the kindness of Data and the innocence of B4. So I get it. It's convenient as heck. It's all just a big way to have these characters back in one body, but I get it.
Yeah, he said the evolution is not an act of preservation, it's an addition.
Yeah,
and that essentially he had made a mistake because it wasn't like poor humanity, it was like poor science. So that was that was kind of an interesting speech. I was trying to kind of follow along with it, because he's like, into this golem there will be the Lore and there will be the Data, and I was like, oh, is that the origin of their names? Is that
100%?
Okay.
Lore is myth and hearsay and imagination, and Data is facts. That's the
Gotcha.
That's the origin of their names. Yeah, which I
Pretty
think
cool.
is beautiful. I love that so much.
I just found one of my notes of a funny thing that Worf said that I wanted to specifically mention, if that's okay.
Go for it.
There was a moment whenever they're getting ready to go to do this heist, and you think that maybe Seven is coming along with Rafi, and so he's like, I have gone into battle with lovers before, and she's like, oh no, I'm not coming, and he says, oh, that is a relief, I was practicing deceit.
Yes.
It was just
That is
so
an immediate
funny.
relief. Yeah, I love that so much.
I felt that. I was like, oh no, I don't want to do there.
No, I don't. I really don't want you to come along. Really cool to just see Worf talking to Seven as well. That's all
It's
of
a
these
trip, isn't it?
overlapping characters that just make you think, it would be cool if Seven had a conversation with Worf. And
It could happen.
one of the beautiful things about this season is having all of this overlap between Voyager, Deep Space Nine, TNG. It's a dream. It really, really is a dream. I wish we had more time.
How many episodes? We got 2 more episodes before we're done with this season?
No, we've got 7, 8, 9, and 10. We have 4
So we'll have
episodes left.
potentially 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we're potentially looking at 4 full episodes with the whole crew present, potentially.
Yeah, assuming we get Riker and Deanna back. Yeah, pretty quick. We'll
Cool.
see. Yeah.
Interesting. I like it.
I like it. I feel like we've come across as so negative about this episode, but I like it. It just had so much to do, and
No, this is not a bad episode.
it's not.
It's just not what I expected to feel when the
Yeah.
whole crew arrived.
You know what?
And it's a lot to do in one episode. But I think they did a good job of it.
It's a great episode. It's a great episode for legacy Star Trek fans. It's a frustrating episode for season 3 of Picard because
Potentially.
although we find out what the thing finally was stolen from Daystrom Institute, that's the one thing we really find out that progresses the story along, I feel. But yes, I'm happy with this season being a victory lap at the same time. I really am. But the storyteller in me is like, let's do both. Maybe we are. Okay, anything else?
One more sin was Data throwing out the visual through his eyeballs to Stranger Things music. So I thought maybe we could send that.
Oh, I missed the Stranger Things bit, but
It was
the projection
very
thing was
Stranger
interesting.
I actually liked that.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
But
I
there's
was
a
like,
fun
that
way
makes
to
sense.
sin it. Like, of course you can also do this now.
It was very R2D2.
It was like R2D2 met Stranger Things mixed with Star Trek. It was fantastic and strange and cinny.
Help us, Jean-Luc. You're our only hope. Amazing. Okay, with that, let's head over to the Captain's Ready Room for some predictions. Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our predictions for the rest of the season and bask in our Q-like glory if anything we have previously predicted has come true. Well, I won't go through all of them, but we predicted that Lore was the thing that was stolen from the Daystrom Institute. Massively incorrect. Nope. Moriarty was the thing that was stolen from Daystrom Institute. Nope. Massively incorrect. It's all part of Lore. Got that wrong entirely.
No, and there's no exocomp.
There's no exocomp. I don't think we're going to see them. I'm pretty sure.
But don't worry, you can see me as an exocomp if you go to Twitter.
My goodness, you can see an animated version of Danae cosplaying as
an animated version. That's not it. It's just a drawn. It's like a stat. It's
animated. Yeah, it's not a live action picture of you. Like the picture isn't animated, but it is an animated version of you. Yes.
Oh, I see.
Wearing an exocomp cosplay. It is beautiful. Yes. It's amazing. So I guess the two big things are what is going to happen at Frontier Day, which we now know is 3 days away, and what specifically is it? Is it just to cripple the fleet? Is it to blow everyone up because a ton of important people are going to be there? Or is there something more specific? Like, is this a presidential assassination? Is it, I mean, obviously the networking of the ship seems seems like it's going to tie in. I wouldn't be surprised if all of these ships come together at once and then their self-destruct sequences all get activated at the same time, is what I'm predicting. Because Geordie's so against them being networked together.
I really don't know. I'm confused about what's going to happen. I'm assuming it's blowing up, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure they're going to do something with Picard. I mean, they stole his body. So,
well, and that's the other big thing. What do they want with Jean-Luc's body?
They're going to reanimate it.
Why?
Well, I mean, there's changelings involved. Maybe, I mean, I don't know why they couldn't be Jean-Luc anyway. Unless, did that body have Borg tech in it?
Yeah, maybe they want the Borg tech. That's a really good idea, actually. Maybe they do want the Borg tech that's left over in his body.
But why would the Borg tech for Picard be different from any other Borg expat? XB.
Yeah. Why not kidnap 7 of 9, who has a lot more Borg left in her? It seems like a tricky place to break into. Maybe that's how they did the organ thing. Maybe getting Picard's body, it helped them to replicate organs, because that was the different thing about these changelings, that they are able to replicate organs completely.
That seems like something that's been like an evolutionary thing for a long time before something was stolen, though, right? Because the portal gun stealing thingy had happened recently, right?
Yeah, but we still only found out about it after that happened. So maybe it's an engineering thing rather than an evolutionary thing.
I mean, it definitely seems like, I mean, if you're going to look at an entire fleet of ships and they're all together in one location and somebody wants to wipe them out, that would be the opportunity to wipe them out. So I don't know. I have no understanding of what they're doing, and I'm kind of glad for it. But I'm also like a little bit like, I'm also a little disappointed because I kind of want some things to be solved at this point since it's been going on for a while. Like, I want to know why they're going after Jack. That's obviously not going to be solved soon. I want to know what they stole. Well, now I know what they stole, but that still doesn't make any sense to me. And how are they going to figure their way through that? Is next episode going to be them making a lot of leaps in logic and then finding out that they're right somehow, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now Vadic has Riker, so they're going to have to do some kind of trade-off maybe for Jack and Riker and have some kind of conversation there, all in this attempt to get to this
It'll be a trade.
Starfleet. How are they going to wrap up the fact that Starfleet needs to kind of have some sort of like great purge of the changelings and also a re-welcoming into the fold of Picard and Riker and all the people who are apparently like on the bad list right now. So there's a lot to do. Well, and I don't know how long they're going to be lingering certain details. I'm a little nervous about that.
Well, what we know is that now they want Picard's original body, which they have, and they want Jack's body. So it's got to be connected between the two of them. There's something they want to do with both of their bodies. So maybe it's, I just don't know. Because so much of it has been exposed now. If you want to slip like a Picard clone in there, like Nemesis did, or tried to do, you've already got a ton of people at the highest levels of Starfleet. I'm trying to figure out what the connection is between Jack and Picard, why they want their bodies.
As if for the disease.
We'll find out next week.
Who knows?
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a lot of predictions. I don't really know kind of what's going on. I think there was a moment whenever the changeling was changing in front of Riker, and I was like, here comes Odo.
Yes, I thought that was going to be Odo.
Did you too?
Yes,
I was
did.
Oh, there's going to be a good changeling, like trying to help from the inside, and then turn into Vadic. I was just like, oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
And then, Vadic giggles, and I really continue to enjoy that very evil character just because she's fascinating to watch act. But I don't really have a ton of predictions. I guess one prediction is that Jack's brain thing is obviously something is going on. Obviously, they've diagnosed it, so it's true. But, what was that the actual thing that's been happening? And if so, why did they build it up so intensely? And why does it have to do with changelings? And why does he... there's just too much there.
Because there's the find me thing, isn't there? There's so much more to it.
I think I find it very shocking, and maybe this should be a sin, that Jack hasn't really then talked to his mother about the things that he was seeing. Like, now that we're talking about it, is that really a symptom to have the exact same thing talking to you over and over again? Or,
Yeah, maybe he has and she's dismissing it too quickly. There's more to it, for sure. There's more to it. Convenient that we didn't have any more hallucinations this episode, just to kind of continue the red herring, but we'll see what happens next week.
Here's a prediction. Now that Riker and Deanna have been kidnapped, the daughter shows up.
Oh yeah, Kestra.
And she joins the Titan.
A 10-year-old Kestra turns up and just kicks all the ass.
She's probably 11 now.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
She's the new Will.
I'm here for it.
She's the new Will
Adventure
Crusher.
Girl.
She shows up. She's in a rainbow bright costume.
Yeah.
Quilted.
Yeah, got it.
Sweatered, quilted.
Unicorn
super
horn
happy,
on head. Yeah.
Which is in character for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bow and arrow.
Yeah. And she just comes on board like Peter Pan with her little hands on her hips.
Oh, she is
I'm
Peter
here to
Pan.
save the day. Like, come on. Where are these kids?
Yep. Let's have the kids save the day.
Where's Rafi's child?
I think
Why
we're done with that now.
Why did you show them to us if they're not going to come back?
Yeah, we're done with that now. We're finished.
We
got Rafi, to be completely honest. Amazing. Okay, well, slightly shorter episode than usual this week as we are recording against all odds to get this to you without a break. But we will be back with you on Friday for our regular stream where we'll talk about episode 7. And we would love to we'd love to talk to you in the chat as well. If you want to have a chat about this week's episode and episode 7 all at once, we'll do it all next week at the live stream, twitch.tv/Cinemasins live. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. Calling me a villain does not do my complexity justice and only demonstrates your simplicity.
Yeah. And it's we will not be prey. We will be friendly energy from me.
I don't understand the world right now. And live long and prosper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
I forgot that I didn't log into the one that I normally use. So I couldn't add myself to the thing. Why can't I hear you? Can you hear me? You look so fucking tiny. You look like a child. You look like a toddler. Little bitty Ian in the big chair.
Yes, I do look like a toddler in this chair.
Like a total fucking child.
Hi, Danae. What do you want to talk about this week on the podcast? Charlie bit my finger. To be man. Okay.
The dog barking in the background.
I know, fine. I have a dog as well now.
Yeah, you do.
This dog is a puppy. It is insane. Insane.
Oh, yeah. Geordie LaForge is on the thumbnail. Bitch.
Welcome to the intro to the segment.